I would add my minis, well, that was the theory. In actuality, that's not how it played out. Hello, my name is Michelle, and this is Michelle's Fiber Studio podcast. Today is Monday, November 3rd, and this is episode number 68. Ooh, can't count today. Well, welcome. If this is your first time joining me, well, thank you so much for giving me a listen. And if you're a returning viewer, well, I appreciate your coming back. It is, again, it's a Monday. It's kind of cloudy today. We're definitely well into fall. It's been in the low 50s and cool and crisp and all the things. So yeah, that's kind of what it's looking like here in the great state of Maine these days. I actually have a fair amount to talk about today. I have a finished object, which I'm very, very excited to talk about. I have updates on my projects, and hot off the press, I had 2 additions to my yarn shelf that were waiting for me when I got home from school today. So I am going to talk about my Yarnables yarn and my Woolen Woman fiber box for this month as well. Before we dive in though, let's talk about what I am wearing. I remembered this time, almost forgot. I have a shawl on, and this is my butterfly, or papillon is the name of the pattern, is by MarinJaKnits. MarinJaKnits. I'm not exactly sure how to say her name. But that is the pattern. I knit it out of earth yarn, earth fingering. Harvest yarn is the black grape, and that is the purple that is in between everything. And then the earth unique fingering in Gusty is the multicolored yarn, and it's got greens and purples and blues and all. So this is a project that I started it in August of 2021. I finished it in May of 2022. It was a project that we had, my husband and I were vacationing in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I visited the yarn shop down there, and this was a shop sample, and I immediately fell in love with it. Had not seen it prior to that. I've since seen it a couple of times. I actually don't know when this pattern came out. I should probably go look that up. That would be interesting to know if it was like a newish pattern at that point, but regardless, I bought yarn and had her wind it up and went back to my hotel room, and you know how we bring lots and lots of travel knitting? Yeah, immediately all of that got set aside and I started this project straight away. It did take me quite a while to finish it. It's a lot of short rows, a lot of back and forth, and just kind of, I wouldn't say it was particularly difficult, especially if you can do short rows. Just kind of keeping track of where you were was the hard part. So it took a fair amount of concentration. So it didn't get knit on reliably. So that's that long stretch of time is really due to, what, 10 months, I think, is really due to the fact that I had to kind of focus a lot. So, but I do really, really like it. It's colors that I wear a lot. So it's one that I like to pull out a lot in the wintertime. So that is what I am wearing. So without further ado, how about we take a look at my blocking board? So today's blocking board finished project is one I am super, super stoked to have done. And it is my Northeasterly blanket. It feels so good, and it's about a twin-sized blanket. There's just no way that I'm gonna really be able to adequately show you. I mean, no matter how much I back up. Oh, that's actually probably not too bad. If I lean way back in my rocking chair and I hold it up a half at a time, I'm peeking between the holes to see what you're seeing. You kind of get a general gist of the color. So let's talk about this for the final time. This first of all, the pattern, Northeasterly Blanket, is by Katy Stevens. The yarn was a monthly subscription that I had gotten from Woolen Woman Fibers. It was the Murder She Knit blanket, mystery blanket. And every month I got 12 10-gram minis mailed to me that I put into the blanket. And so I would do them in a row. That's my last, I'll pull out the first row. So this is my first row, and I know I have been holding it up for you all, but I ended up doing 18 rows. So 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 9 little chevrons that I did. Garter, well, it's not even garter, it's because it was single crochets. And so my first column, I did straight. I did every single mini, 9, 9, 9, 9 all the way. And then what I decided to do in each subsequent row is to try to stagger it. And so the next one after, I did 3 and then launched into the 9. The one after that, I did 6 and then launched into the 9, and then I would repeat. And so this is the full 9, and so on and so forth. So every month, I would add my minis. Well, that was the theory. In actuality, that's not how it played out. And I think I talked about this at one point in time. While it was a really enjoyable project, and I love, love, love the finished blanket, I love the weight. It's a DK weight yarn, and so it's a substantial blanket. It weighs a fair amount, so it just feels good to cuddle up under. So I'm really, really happy to have this blanket. I don't know that I would do this process again because I felt a lot of pressure to get those colors put in place every month, and to like keep up, which you would think that 12 10-gram minis, like easy peasy, right? And that's just not the way my yarn time works. So that was an interesting experiment, and now I know myself. That's not something that I enjoy. I won't do it again, but I'm glad I did it once. And it was really super fun to get the yarn every month and to kind of play with it and such. So let's see, I think when I left you guys last week, I was down to like the last 5 or 6 colors. I don't remember exactly. But I did, and I know I recorded on Monday last week. I finished the last of it on a Thursday night. So my goal was to finish it for October 31st so I could say I completed it in the month of October, and I did. I finished it on that Thursday. On Friday, I came home from school and we had plans in the evening, but I had a little window of time when I got home, and what I had done is crochet over the ends each time I added a new color, but I still had the very last color and the very first color, or first and last color, of the last, I think, 5 months. I blocked it just over halfway. So I still had those ends to kind of weave in. So I wove those ends in, I threw it in my washing machine. So this has gone through my washing machine. And I did it on just a 15-minute quick wash, not even gentle, just a 15-minute quick wash with cold water, and it came out really great. And then I laid it flat on one of my beds to dry, and I just picked it up when I got home today and trimmed off the last of the yarn ends. I did have to reweave in some of the ends that I had done like in the first several months. The first time I blocked it, they kind of loosened up. If I have to do that every time, it took me 10 minutes. It's not a big deal. I don't anticipate washing this that often anyway, and I'm hoping that more and more they kind of settle, and they're not really gonna felt because it is a superwash, but it will kind of like, they will get a little felty, a little sticky, I guess, and move less over time. But again, I don't anticipate washing this blanket very often. So it's not a big deal to me to have to go in and kind of do that. I don't know how I feel about crocheting over the ends though for that purpose. And I don't know that I would do that again, but it did save a lot of time in that I didn't have to weave in, because that would have been 24 ends every single month. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like 6 of one, half dozen, right? So I have in my notes that my start date is October 25th of 2024, and I finished it on October 30th of 2025. So just exactly pretty much 1 year is what this project took me. I am really, really pleased that it is done, and I can move on to some other projects. Oh, one more thing I actually meant to show you. And the sun came out now, right? Like as I said that that it was cloudy. The sun's gonna come out and it's gonna mess with my lighting, but I did tie off the end. So sometimes, every month varied. And some months I did the exact same number of rows every month. Some months I actually ran out of yarn, and other months I would have anywhere from this much to that much or more leftover yarn. If I had a decent amount, you know, like this much at least, then I was tying it into a magic knot ball. And so this is what I have left. I had thoughts of crocheting this around the edges like a border, and I have 35, it's almost 35 grams. Actually is a decent amount of yarn considering that it's made up of 12 times 12, 144. Well, some of them didn't have it. So 100 pieces that are like this big. But I don't think it would be quite enough is what I have decided. And then I also just kind of wanted to be done, let's be frank. So I'm just tossing this into my scrap bag. I have no idea what I'll do with it. Maybe I will crochet it into some of the hexies that I still haven't shown you. I don't know, we'll see. But that is what I have left. So it was about 35 grams. And it just goes to show that lots of little pieces do add up. Okay, let's take a look in my project bag. I closed the blind, so hopefully the lighting will stay a little bit more consistent. And now that that blanket project is done, I have some other things that I can shift my focus to. So we will start with my MarinJaKnits knit along, my mystery MusiKAL. I'll give a spoiler warning, but I'm figuring at this point that if you haven't been spoiled and you're holding out, then more power to you, because the knit along is, I think, 2 weeks past, and I know there's completed shawls that have been popping up all over the place, so consider yourself warned. But I did finally take it out after I finished the blanket. I brought it with me. We went up to Orono over the weekend, and I got a little bit done. Not a lot, but here is where I was. So I had just completed the first color in the first eyelet section. So I have done 2 more sections. So if I it's creating this, I want to be careful I don't lose my stitches, but it's creating like this little wavy segments. I'm really having fun with this section. So this section is going to have a total of 9 of these. This is basically one repeat, the green, the darker green, the lighter green, and the peach with the yellow in between. And so I have 2 more sets of these before that clue is done. But now that I am not focusing solely on a blanket, perhaps I can get a little further along in this project. And it's actually this section is actually really straightforward, super easy to do, really. It doesn't take a ton of concentrating, so it's a good project to do. I do have to have the pattern next to me, but it's a good TV watching project or something that I'm, when I don't have to necessarily be completely focused. So, I guess I can show you the yarn. It's been a little bit. I am using all Yarnables yarns from various months. So there's my Yarnables yarn label. So I have, this is one color here. I think it's a macaron, something macaron. Where's my cream? Oh, guava cream macaron. There we go. And this one I believe is rest, relax, and recharge. Oh, sorry, there we go. Rest, relax, recharge. I think this one is straighten your crown. And this last one is wings of renewal. That one I'm sure of. And I'm also, when I have an opportunity to do a mohair dare, I am adding in this mohair, which is from, is this Haute Knit? Homespun Girls. Homespun Girls Mohair Silk Supreme in the Mermaid colorway. And this is some leftover mohair from last year's West Knits Make Along. So that is that project number 1. My floor over here looks so much better without 2 massive baskets of project with both of my blankets done that I have been holding on to for some time. How about my socks? Let's pull these out. These are my Spooky Girl socks. And I didn't do a ton, but I did do a little bit. So now that my cowl is done too, these are going to be really great Bible study knitting. And so I brought them with me last week. So I was able to get, you know, about an inch or so done. This is another one of my this is my July Woolen Woman Fibers, the Spooky Girl Summer Set. So that is the yarn there, along with the little mini. And I meant to do the heels, cuff, heel, and toe in this blue, but then I went and turned the heel and totally forgot. So the heels are in the regular yarn now. My goal for this one is actually to complete this in the next couple of weeks, at least the first sock. And then it's probably gonna get set aside because the second Wicked movie is coming out in a few weeks, right around Thanksgiving. And I bought yarn from Little Wolf Knits that is, I think it was the Two Best Friends colorway. That was from her Wicked collection. And I'm thinking it would be super, super fun to cast on a pair of socks that I can then knit during the movie. So I need these needles for that sock. So my hope is that in the next couple of weeks, I can complete the foot. I'm about halfway. So for me, if I knit until where my cuff starts, roughly, I know that's gonna be about how long I want my foot. I've got another way to measure. Well, you all know my fancy measuring is to hold it up against my hand. So I'm about halfway. So I'm thinking that's a doable project, a doable thing, even if at some point as we get closer, I have to specifically work on this at home to kind of get that done. But that's the goal. So, but these are just a plain vanilla sock. I like to do my socks on 2 circular needles. I do generally top cuff down over 56 stitches, and I like to use the OMG Short Row Heel by Megan Williams. So that is that project. And then the last project update, I'm also excited to get working on again and really be able to focus on now. And I just took this one back out, I think last night actually. And this is my Bahama Advent Wrap. And it's I think it is the Bahama Advent Wrap by Toni Lipsey. I am using an Advent yarn set. There we go. So I know it's been a while since you've seen this one. I started it back in May, and it is Tunisian crocheted. So I'm now into my yellows. I think this is I can't wait to block it because I think it's really gonna lay out and block out nice and have some really good drape. It'll probably widen up just a little bit, I'm guessing. So I yesterday did this yellow here. I know that it doesn't look like there's a big old difference, but if you look, you can kind of see that I'm adding in the next yellow. So I think it's 17 colors still left out of 24. This is the Beauty and the Beast Advent yarn that I got from Fangirl Fibers last winter. And I am I would love to have this done by December 1st. Just to get it off and to be able to focus on other things and not have it linger. I know the Christmas season gets really busy and I really don't want to carry it into the new year. So my rough goal, and I'm not gonna hold myself to it, but I'm gonna, shoot for the moon, land among the stars. That's kind of my theory, is to do one color a day, which is doable in and of itself. I basically did one color yesterday. It took me an hour, probably not quite an hour and a half, maybe about an hour to do one color. So if I shoot to do one color a day, hopefully at a minimum, I will do a color every 2 days, give or take. But with 17 colors, that should, hopefully I can get it done before the end of November. I have Veterans Day coming up where I have the day off. So I'm hoping I can get, you know, maybe at least 2 colors done that day. That would be great. We could catch up day, maybe even 3 colors. Let's think wild and crazy, right? And then over Thanksgiving break, I do have 3 days off from school, and we don't do any of the Black Friday shopping. So the day after Thanksgiving will be a good knitting day. The day before will be a good knitting day. So I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that by the end of the month, I can have this project done. And then of course I didn't touch the socks. I am doing a pair of socks with the leftover yarn. Here's what I had left in that last color. So I am adding, I can never remember. I think it's like 3 rows or 4 rows, 5 rows. I don't know, I got it in my notes. But this is the socks that I'm doing. And I got 2 of these going because I'm trying to do them 2 at a time, roughly. So those are the projects that I currently have going on at this moment in time. So with that, let's jump into my next section. So again, hot out of the mailbox, I have not 1 but 2 new yarn acquisitions that literally were waiting for me when I got home. And it's really interesting because one of them, my Yarnables yarn, comes in like a poly mailer, like the plasticky poly mailers. That was actually in my mailbox. And so I stopped at the top of the driveway and grabbed that out, and I'm like, oh great, I got my Yarnables yarn, I can talk about that. And then I parked and I'm heading to up my stairs, and my Woolen Woman fiber box was sitting there along with the rest of my mail. So I don't know what happened and why, if they left me the box with the rest of the mail, they also didn't leave me the Yarnables yarn package on the stairs at the same time, or if she realized, I don't know, that she had put the Yarnables yarn in and realized she had other, or vice versa. I don't know. Regardless, it was a double mail day. So let's start with the Yarnables yarn. So spoiler alert warning on this one because it is super early. It's only November 3rd, and again, I literally just got it today. So if you are a Yarnables yarn subscriber and you do not wish to see this yarn, then I suggest you skip ahead either entirely to the next section, or I will try to put a little tag in here to show when I move into the Woolen Woman Fibers yarn. That might be helpful. So this month, the theme was Wild Current, and I will show you the extras first. And they're kind of different. So I have these little cards here where I could track my knitting, and they're double-sided. So that's kind of fun, and then rate the project. I like them, but to be honest, I don't know if I see myself using them because I use Ravelry. So I don't know what the purpose would be for me to handwrite it. But they're kind of fun. So I don't know, we'll set them aside, see what I decide to do. And then the other little extra is a knit notebook. This I will definitely use because I have a paper notebook already that I will sometimes make project plans, or if I am like gauge swatching and I'm working on kind of like modifying the pattern, I will make notes on paper to refer to. Sometimes those notes make it into Ravelry, sometimes they don't, but yeah, I can definitely see myself using this. So those are the 2 extras. Are you ready for the yarn? Oh my gosh, I think I squealed when I saw this yarn. So Wild Current. Look at this yarn. Oh, I really like this one. This one is going to be a Musselburgh. The second I saw it, I am like, oh yeah, That's what I need out of this one for sure. So super, super pretty. I will photograph it, and I don't think I'm gonna actually put it away because I did want to cast on a second muscle burr so I can leave one at school and have one here at home. So that's probably gonna get cast on pretty quick here. It will be a good take along project. So yeah, so that is Yarnables yarn. Okay, if you were stepping away or you were looking away, you can turn back now. I'm gonna talk about my Woolen Woman's Fibers box. This one, I won't bother giving a spoiler alert because they always preload with what is going to be in it. So if you got it, you should have already known what you had coming. So this month's theme is called A Night at the Theater, and I'm really excited for this box. So they are capitalizing again on the second Wicked movie that is coming out, and that is what the theme is. So you can see the Night at the Theater. So let me look at the card as I pull out my extra goodies. I have these wooden friendship pins, and it's I am changed and for good. And if you have seen the movie, you will, or the well, not the movie actually. If you only are looking at the movies, you wouldn't know this. But if you've seen the musical, the play, you definitely would know this. That is a very famous song that the two, Glinda and Elphaba, sing together. I have seen the musical 4 times, I think. And then, of course, the first half of the movie. And it's actually really, really one of my favorites. I can sing along with all of the songs. From Sam's Tiny Trinkets, we have our stitch markers. We have a little Glinda. And I am not sure what that is supposed to be. I can't tell. I really don't know. I have no idea what it's supposed to be, but it's cute. And then there is a woolen, trying to see if it's listed here. It's not listed here, but this is a yeah, yarn soap. Why can't I think of what it's called? But that, can you see there's a little bit of a design on there? I know it's wrapped in plastic, so it's probably not picking up super well. This one is called Glinda Wool Wash. There we go. Wool Wash. That's what it's called. And it's a pink. I can't read it. It's a pink label. Oh, maybe if I do that, you guys can read it. There we go. Try to hold it steady for a minute. Tell me what it is. I'll read it back when I edit the video. So I don't know what the scents are. Shea butter. Oh, that green and the pink. It's that color combination. Anyway, it smells really good though. And then a Defying Gravity candle. This one is orange, coconut, caramel, and praline. It smells really, the praline is very strong. So it's that kind of wintry, Christmassy caramel praline, you know, if you smell like Christmas candles, that kind of a scent. The sock sack is these little witchy boots. But look at the inside, the bright pink. Oh my gosh, isn't that fun? So I have plans when I cast on my 4 good socks, they're going in this sack for sure. That's what, yeah, we're gonna combine these two. All right, are you ready for the yarn? Because the yarn, I've had that yarn from Little Wolf Knits since February, or March is when it arrived, with the plans to cast those on, but this is a top contender. Look. It pulls the greens and the pinks. Really, really nice. And then you get the little minis, a green mini and a pink mini. So a Glinda and an Elphaba. So these will probably be socks too at some point. Just maybe not right away. I don't know. And wouldn't it be fun to do like the cuff and the toe and maybe reverse it? And so the cuff on one sock is green and the cuff on the other sock is pink, and then the toes are the opposite. That could be super fun. Anyway, that is this month's Woolen Woman fiber box. And then there is I gotta look it up. There's a pattern, a sock pattern, Hello Pumpkin Socks by Lindsay Shank Kirchner. And so I have the code in here. I can download that. So, oh, look at that. It says what my wool wash bar scents are right on here. Lanolin, coconut oil, palm oil, safflower oil, shea butter, and oat protein. Coconut lemon sugar. Yeah, Glinda is coconut, lemon, and sugar. There we go. And the, oh, I see. So the wool wash bar is Glinda, and the candle is Defying Gravity. Very fun. Okay, I digress. I digress. But if you know, you know. All right, let's talk a little bit about what this last week was like. It was a full week, so I get to talk about those things. So let's see, I recorded on Monday. Monday evening, I went and had coffee with my sister-in-law. We had a chance to catch up, which we hadn't done in a little while, so that was kind of fun. And then I raced back home because I have my nutrition accountability group that we are doing every Monday night at 8 o'clock. I'm really enjoying that, where we've been talking about what our personal identity is and some habits and how we can do habit stacking. So tying habits to other things to help us become more successful in those habits. One of the habits that I'm really trying to work hard on is to drink more water. And so I'm shooting for 6 glasses a day. I know half my body weight would be kind of the theory, which I'm right now about 140 pounds, so that would be 70 ounces, and that is divided by 8 is a little over 8 glasses, but I also know myself, and that's not happening. So just if I can just do 6, and I've been able to pretty much do 6, and I'm considering that a huge win. So I start my day with a 16-ounce glass of water that I immediately drink, and I've been doing that for years. That's been a habit for years and years and years. But I have a water bottle that I am now filling with a little bit of ice and water that I bring to school, and that is 26 ounces. And my goal is to have that water bottle completely or nearly finished by the time I leave school. And so some of the habits that I'm stacking at school are when I get to school and I take the water bottle out of my bag, and before I set it on my desk, I drink some water. And then we have bells throughout the day. And so I'm trying, whenever I hear a bell, to drink some water. It's not working perfectly, but it's at least a target. And then, you know, I'll bring it with me to my lunch, and I am reaching for it more anyway, which my hope is ultimately I will drink it without having to think so hard about habit stacking. But I figured that was a good target and a good starting point. And so if I can do that, that is 42 ounces. I just have to get another 6 at some point between when I get home and the end of the day. I've been trying to drink some water with my dinner, or while I'm sitting around or watching TV, or actually even before going to bed, I'm trying to drink a little bit of water. The upshot is I'm in the bathroom a whole lot more, so that's not necessarily fun, but I have drinking water has definitely been a challenge for me. So I think this is a really great habit, and I'm grateful with this group. It's an 8-week group that is focused on instruction and learning for the first 8 weeks, and then after that it is an accountability, and we'll be checking in with each other as we work on our goals. So that, and I have it again tonight, so that's been kind of cool. Let's see, we had a staff meeting on Wednesday and then Bible study. Tuesday and Thursday were quiet, though I was able to spend the evenings at home and not doing a whole lot, so that was good. And then on Friday was Halloween, and we have a tradition of spending Halloween with our friends. And my husband will help hand out candy with the husband. And then I go out with the wife and we trick or treat with the kids. This year we had a couple of other families that joined us, and so one of them, a husband and wife and their 2 kids, and then another husband and wife who are older like we are with no kids, but we're just joining. And so it ended up happening that the family, the husband and wife with the kids, went out with my friend and did the trick-or-treating, and then the other husband and wife who are about our age stayed behind at the house, and the men were outside, and the wife and I, that's where I'm getting, stayed inside and just visited. And it had been a long time since we'd had a really good visit, so that was super enjoyable. It was a great opportunity for us to catch up, and I didn't have to go out in the cold, so which, you know, I have to admit did not hurt my feelings at all. On Saturday, we drove up to Orono, and there was another football game. It was about 50 degrees, so it wasn't, the temperature was not terribly cold, but it was windy, constant wind with gusts up to, I think it was 40-mile-per-hour gusts. So like it was pretty cold with the gusts. I have been cold before, to the point where I really can't focus on anything, and I was never at that point on Saturday, but I was just tired of being hit by the wind constantly. I think it was exhausting. At one point, about halfway through, like when first we get there and we follow the band around, and then we go over to the stadium and watch the football game. So like we had just gotten to the stadium and I went in to use the bathroom because I had been trying to drink some water, and just walking into the bathroom in the stadium, it's like, oh, there's no wind. It's so nice to not have wind for just 2 minutes. But I had lots of layers. I had all the woolies that you can think of. I had my muscle bar hat with a hood on top. I had a cowl that I had knit, like a longer cowl that I triple looped around my neck, but then I had another cowl that I had done that was even thicker, that towards the end I pulled over, and I was like more of a muffler style, and I was pulling that up to my nose. And I had my fingerless gloves, and the only wool thing, I have wool socks on my feet. The only wool thing that I brought with me that I didn't use was actually a second hat. I can't remember the Katy yarn, I think. It was the hat that I knit last spring with the fingerless mitts. That was the set that I brought. It's a slightly larger hat, and my thought was that if I was that cold, I could actually put the second hat on top of the muscle burra because there's a little bit of give in it. But I never got to that point with the hood over. It was fine. I even had a pad that I had crocheted way back in the day when my kids were in high school and we were going to the marching band shows that we were able to sit on the bleacher, which made a huge difference because the week before when we went, it wasn't as windy. The temperature was about 3 or 4 degrees warmer, but the biggest problem I had was the bleacher, which made my behind cold. And honestly, I think my feet in my wool socks, by the end of the game, my feet were frozen, and I think it was because the cold from the bleachers was just seeping up through my sneakers in through my wool socks, and the wool socks just couldn't keep up. And that was just that metal, like, you know, that wind. So anyway, that was Saturday, and they won, which was, again, they've won like every game we've gone to this season, which is really, really cool. There's one more game in 2 weeks. It is the final home game, so it's the senior game. And I have not yet seen a weather report, but I'm really hoping that it's not any worse. Certainly no rain. But it would be nice if it was even a few more, if, you know, 5 or 10 degrees colder would be okay without the wind. Like it was the wind that was really the worst. So, and then yesterday, Sunday, we chilled. We went to church and got home and quick ran and did some groceries, and then we did not leave the house. And that was my goal, was just to hunker down. We've been out Friday night, we've been out all day Saturday, and that we planned on that. We knew that once we got home and we had done the groceries, we were just gonna sit because just needed some quiet time to gear up for this week. So that is about where I'm landing for the week. So I thank you so very much for joining me. I will have show notes down below for all the things that I have talked about. If you have enjoyed the podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe so you know when I have posted something new. With that, I hope you have a wonderful week and happy knitting.